Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Hello all, what is going on and how y'all doing all tonight on this Thursday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993 catching up. And this is my review of this past week's episode of Monday Night Raw, the December 18, 2023 edition of Monday Night Raw, and probably the last edition of Monday Night Raw for 2023, at least review-wise on this channel. As of now, for what it looks like that SmackDown tomorrow night was pre-taped. But there was nothing pre-taped for Raw. So I am assuming that Raw is just going to be a clip show of the year, probably. That's what it will most likely be. And then we'll get back on track with SmackDown next Friday night as well. So, before we talk about Raw, I do also want to talk about a certain Raw superstar that I haven't really checked for updates in a few days. But last I knew, things may not be looking so good. But we'll get to that in a second. My overall thoughts on Raw, which I'll be honest, I didn't really pay the best attention during Raw. I still gave this show a grade based off of what I saw. But while Raw was going on, I was very focused on getting the rest of my Christmas stuff done. And I was also trying to get the last of my shorts done as well for the 25 Days of Christmas and 25 Days of Promos with the Club of the Man 1993. I was very focused on getting all that done. But Raw, I felt like it was a little bit of like a breather episode, a little bit of filler, some storyline development. We're setting up for the first Raw of the new year, which is going to be called the Monday Night Raw Day 1. Which was the name, is because it's taking place on New Year's Day. And it was the name of the pay-per-view WWE had in 2022 on New Year's Day called WWE Day 1. So they're having that. And I think not this Friday, but the following Friday after that, whichever one it is, it's going to be the SmackDown edition. It's going to be called New Year's Revolution. I don't know. I can't remember if it's next Friday, though, or if it's the first Friday in 2024. Which that's going to feature a triple threat match, I heard, apparently, between AJ Styles, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight. Winner fights Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble for the world title. So this is kind of like building to a couple of matches on that show. Based off the show, from what I can remember, off the top of my head, we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. Rhea Ripley will defend the title against Ivy Nile for the Women's World title. And we are also getting Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax. First time ever. And of course we have to sit through another painful promo of Nia Jax. But it's all good because Becky Lynch beat the crap out of her. Although I still have this bad feeling, some way, somehow, we're still going to get Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax at the Rumble. Because I still think they're going to save Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for WrestleMania. But yeah, so it was fine. Again, it was just some stuff that I liked. But then there was some stuff that I'm just like, whatever. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the show. First, before we talk about that, I want to briefly address something else that happened to a Raw superstar. I almost addressed this on SmackDown, but I keep forgetting she's not on SmackDown anymore, she's on Raw. But Liv Morgan was arrested last week, or week before, one of the two, She got pulled over apparently after she was crossing over lines, and she was found in possession of weed. Now, again, I'm not going to comment on, my thoughts of, like, that topic because I am not really, I'm not really a person that's talking about, like, politics or, like, anything like that, this, and that. So I'm going to not get in there, but all I will say is depending on what happens, that could lead to some possible jail time for her, unfortunately. Which that would suck. How long? I have no clue. I don't know that deep into that, but let's just hope things do work out for her. Because I hate to see Liv Morgan kind of get like that little like tainted spot in her career for sure. She's been out for a while with an injury. I think she had like a movie she was in also. And I just keep hoping that they bring her back. Because, again, I keep saying this. 1 second. I keep thinking that whenever Triple H took over, they were in a tough spot with Liv Morgan. And I think what they were trying to do when she was feuding with Ronda Rousey and got the title, they were trying to, salvage both of them. But in the end, they were backed into a corner with Liv Morgan. And I was digging this, like, crazy character they were teasing for her after she dropped the title. But then it was kind of back and forth. She was tag partners with Raquel. Well, then again, also, Vince did come back and got his grubby hands on stuff again for a few more months. So that could work too. But I really do think Liv Morgan's somebody that Triple H could book well when you hit that reset button for her. But of course, because of what's going on right now, we'll wait and see. Again, I don't know. I haven't really heard any updates. I don't know, if there's going to be any sort of jail time or any other, punishment for Liv or whatnot. Let's just hope, again, this doesn't put a big damper, though, on her career. That's the one thing that I'm just hoping for. Again, the other stuff, I'm not going to comment on. I don't really have that much of thoughts on, that, and I don't like getting into, like, political stuff and whatnot. But I just do hope that Liv Morgan does come out of this clean. Hopefully. We'll have to wait and see, though. But that's my brief thoughts on that. Let's talk about Raw, though, and get right into the review. We opened up with the Judgment Day, doing their usual shtick, hyping up their tag match against the Creed brothers later on in the show. Rhea Ripley said, we're just getting started here in 2023, and we're going to run 2024 just the same. And then, of course, Dominic tries speaking, but gets booed out of the building. Out comes R-Truth, though, who still thinks he's part of the Judgment Day. He believed that the beatdown he got last week was his initiation. And then he though, points out that he knows some of them don't like him. But then he says that, he just like the rest of the Judgment Day, he says, you all got someone to fight. Finn and Damien got the Creeds. Rhea's getting Ivy Nile. So he needs someone to beat up on tonight. And then JD McDonough steps out and says, basically says, I'll fight you. And it sets up for a Miracle on 34th Street fight. And for some reason, the stakes get stepped up as R-Truth says, whoever wins this fight, it's going to be a loser leaves Judgment Day match. He goes, if I win, I'm in Judgment Day and you're out. If you win, you're still in Judgment Day and I'm still out. So, okay, that's interesting. But then they had the match and R-Truth beat JD McDonough. But then JD McDonough doesn't get kicked out of Judgment Day. Damien says he's still in for now, basically. So, the point of that, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so ready for... Just like Roman Reigns' title reign I talked about in the SmackDown video and, the stuff with Jimmy Uso. I am just so ready for Judgment Day to be done. Again, I get it. Triple H was trying to, keep continuity going. I get the fact that, because I just found this out when Adam Copeland talked on Chris Jericho's Talk is Jericho podcast after he came to AEW, that I guess the Judgment Day stuff, Finn was to get involved, but not till a year later was when he was supposed to get involved. But then when obviously he felt like, what they were doing wasn't the right direction for him and whatnot, they sped things up and whatnot. So, yeah, there's going to be a problem there as well. They had a long-term plan for it, but I'm just done with it. I am just so done with Judgment Day. I just don't care anymore. I really don't. After that, we had Kayden Carter and Katana Chance getting ready for their tag title match against Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, which also I read a rumor that apparently Samantha Irvin was told to calm down on her emphasis on certain wrestlers, how she introduces them. Like she would go, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. And also, because even when Chelsea Green had her match, she just went Chelsea Green instead of Chelsea Green. And I'm like, and I heard that, I'm like, what the? So I don't know where that came from. Hopefully, like the whole Yeet thing, we get that figured out. Although the new Yeet shirts kind of look ugly because apparently Yeet is blurred out, which was weird. But we got that. Of course, we had another Nia Jax promo. She came out. Becky Lynch came out. Nia says, as much as she loved to break Becky's face again, she has more important things to deal with. Like, learn how to cut a freaking promo maybe for once. So Nia announces that she's entering a women's Rumble match. And Becky says, we don't care. And Nia says, I won't fight you because Becky makes too much money for this company and she'd squash her like the back of her leg. So it's just good money to not fight. And Becky says Nia has lived her whole career on somebody else's name. But then she gets Nia hot enough to call for a referee. But when the referee comes out, Nia slides out of the ring and says, nope, not now, on my terms. We'll wait until we get her to my hometown in day 1 in 2 weeks. And she started, walking up the ring with her back turned to Becky like, oh my God, I'm so awesome, oh my God, I'm so great. And then Becky Lynch just comes behind her and starts clobbering her, and I'm like, thank God. So yeah, that match is happening in 2 weeks at Raw's day 1 in San Diego. Nia's hometown, lovely. Makes you think that there's a chance that Nia might actually somehow win. Get a freaking one-on-one title shot with Rhea Ripley at the Rumble. Damn it! It's probably happening. Lovely. Throughout the night, we had Kofi Kingston walking around dressed up as Santa Claus. He was called Kofi Claus, giving out gifts. And then he ran into DIY, and they said what they want for Christmas is they want a shot at the tag titles. Kofi, though, has a Jey Uso Yeet shirt for them, and that has to be good enough for now. And then DIY move on, and they see The Miz, who's happy to see them. And Johnny says, hey, we know we have our difference in the past, but last week was great. And they shake hands, and then Tommaso Ciampa adds that it was, in fact, awesome. And then Miz is getting ready for his second chance against Gunther. So they have Gunther versus The Miz for the IC title, and of course the stipulation was if The Miz does not win, then he cannot challenge again for the IC title as long as Gunther is champion. Give credit. This is probably the best match of the night. Gunther, again, has continued to put on some really, really good matches, and he's made some people like The Miz look really good in return. There's been a little bit of back and forth, I think, with the Miz's character in this feud, but I think this feud has turned out a little bit better than I thought it would be. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the whole idea was to put Gunther up against one of the best Intercontinental Champions of all time. And they just released Dolph Ziggler. Chris Jericho's in AEW because he has, I think, the most Intercontinental title reigns. So the next closest person was, in fact, The Miz. So I don't know if this is going to mean that Miz is going to remain a babyface now that the feud is over. And as long as Gunther's champion, he can no longer fight for the title. But it was still great. I always enjoy the matches with Gunther, especially when he has to do multiple finishers. I don't know why, but it makes him look like even more like an unstoppable monster. Like, Gunther rarely ever cheats. Like, there was a brief time, I know, last year where they were teasing a match with him and Braun Strowman, and he was teasing that he was afraid of Braun. Like, I only thought that because I thought it was way too soon for Gunther to be afraid of somebody. Like, right now, again, the way Gunther's been booked as a heel is how I would wish most heels would be booked. Yes, you could be a villain. Yes, you could have an occasional cheating moment. But if you're dominating like this, and to the fact where you take matters in your own hands and then just have simple moves like lariats and power bombs and the occasional splash does as well, it makes him look really good. Again, that's a heel champion I want. Like, someone like that, makes so dominating that you want somebody to discover their weakness. Still hoping that's Chad Gable, but I don't know. But, of course, last week on Raw, there was that storyline where Adam Pearce has something in mind, but then, of course, Bronson Reed, of course, after he had his match with Ivar last week and won, now he wants back in the picture as well. So probably something with like Ricochet, Chad Gable, Kofi Kingston as well, since he was in that segment last weekend. Ivar will probably come about for this Intercontinental Championship now that Gunther retained. Had a great match with Miz, and we'll see who's next. We got a hype video for the Creed brothers. We then have Gunther backstage where he runs into his cronies Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. And he tells them there's no reason to celebrate. He steps away from them to recharge and says he expects them to grind and work hard and finally impress him. And then they bicker until Kofi Claus rolls up and basically leads to some tension there because, again, I just don't care about the stuff that's going on with Kaiser and Vinci. Again, just break them up right now if you're just going to keep doing that, because I'm just so disgusted with how they booked Imperium on Raw. But, Shinsuke Nakamura had a segment calling The American Nightmare Before Christmas. Basically a poem about how he's going to spend the holidays, plotting his way to stop Cody Rhodes from finishing his story, because they had the lame finish with The Mist last week. He calls him, a bunch of different names. And basically he said, you bastard, you cancer, you prancer, you nitwit, you vomit, you stupid, your father was inbred, and so on, basically. Trying to change the word to, Dasher and Dancer and Prancer, Vixen, all that. But anyways, of course, he took it a little too far talking about Dusty. And Cody Rhodes, while he was reading the story backstage, blindsided him, and they brawled throughout the arena. He, of course, started smashing Shinsuke's head onto the table, and he got up and draws him up for a crossroads, but then security gets out there and makes the save. So they're not done fighting yet. Akira Tozawa apparently proposed a match that he wanted. He'll get it later. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are complaining about they're complaining about their tag title match, and they beg Adam Pearce to cancel it. And they said, nope, your match is next. Just screwed your way to the ring already. And that's when Bronson Reed comes in saying he needs to talk and he wants to be involved in the plans to determine Gunther's next challenger. And then we had Katana Chance and Kayden Carter defeat Chelsea Green and Piper Niven to win the women's tag titles. I'll give it say it was decent. Don't care about these tag titles still, but a nice moment for Kayden and Katana. They are definitely they're definitely a legitimate team. They're fun. I've always been fans of both of them since they're both in the Mae Young Classic. So it was nice to see them get this moment, even though I don't care about those tag titles. But they win the match. Ivy Nile was backstage with Alpha Academy, getting ready for her match with Rhea Ripley next week. And she talks about how she challenged her and goes off to support her boys, the Creed brothers, in their match, which I am looking forward to seeing how Ivy does against Rhea. I haven't seen her wrestle much, but especially in that Battle Royale when Zoe Stark won that, I thought Ivy looked really good. I'm very interested, of course, in this powerhouse type persona she seems to have. But then, of course, Akira Tozawa rolls up. And he's getting ready for his match, which is against Ivar, who appears with Valhalla to be intimidating. And Gable tells him this isn't what he meant when he said, go big. And Tozawa says he understands. And then we get ready for the match. And we also, before we have the match, we get a segment backstage where Kofi Claus congratulated the new women's tag champions, Katana Chance and Kayden Carter. And they say they got the present they needed already from him. And then we see Shayna and Zoe and Tegan and Natalya sitting backstage saying, I also got new champs, new challengers. So that sets up for a match, I believe, at day one as well. So we got that. Ivar beat Tozawa with the world's strongest slam. Tozawa, again, I keep saying this. I do appreciate that Tozawa is being like a character gimmick, but he's definitely not there to win matches. But, you know, he's still entertaining. He's like another version of R-Truth. The low card guy, but he can entertain. But unfortunately, Ivar beats up the world's strongest slam here. Then we have Seth Rollins coming out, who was introduced as Iowa's own because we were in Des Moines, Iowa, and Iowa is Seth's home state as he is from Davenport, Iowa. He welcomes us to the show. He also is going to set the tone for 2024 by defending his world title against Drew McIntyre at day one, which brings out Drew immediately. Drew tells Seth he's proud of him for refusing to turn a blind eye or kiss ass when it comes to CM Punk. He told the truth, as it needed to be said, and that is a real leader. He then draws comparisons between his sacrifice and the sacrifice Becky Lynch makes every week and tells Seth he doesn't want the title. He needs validation to know all of his sacrifices was worth it. To know that all the hurt he caused his family was worth it. And he's going to have to hurt Seth to do it. And then finally, Rollins tells Drew, Drew's basically, 1 week, all like this and that. Next week, he's all like, grateful but emotional, like he is here right now. But then Rollins finally makes goes, Drew, I don't know what to feel about you anymore. You say stuff like very heartfelt like that, and he wants to take it to heart. But your actions, what you do, just don't line up. But he respects him. Because after he beat Drew at Crown Jewel, Drew told him he'd find a way back to the title, and he's done that. But as much as you need this, what make you think, though, the outcome's going to be any different? What are you willing to do? Cheat? Lie? Hurt people? Take shortcuts? He's so happy to point the finger at everyone else, while the only person that keeps Drew from winning the world title is Drew himself. Rollins last week looked a man in the eye and told him he hated him. And he meant it, which he told Punk he hated him. But this week he looks Drew in the eye and he doesn't hate him. He pities him. Merry Christmas, I'll see you in a few weeks. Which Seth goes to walk away, but then Drew pulls him to the ropes and Seth was just prepared. He knew that Drew was going to, still pull the dirty tactic. And then they just brawled a little bit and then... up until Drew McIntyre got the upper hand by hitting Seth with an Alabama slam through the steel steps. Is it mind games? Again, is Drew just gone that insane that he tries to, convince us that he still has the soft side, but then shows the mean side to him? It's something there. It's here and there, but it's interesting. I still really enjoy this Drew McIntyre heel character. Again, because his heel turn is so justified, like Gunther. He takes things into his own hands. He doesn't need a whole crew of cronies to help him win matches. Yes, he cheats at times, but it's his own tactics. And then to have him be able to speak the truth on the microphone and back it up really well, it's simple and effective storytelling. Kind of makes me want to see him win the title on day one. But I don't know. I mean, people are saying he could win the title and then he drops it right back to Seth at Rumble. Maybe. We'll see. But we'll see what happens. I still think, though, had CM Punk not come in, Drew was definitely going to be the one to dethrone Seth. But it didn't happen. So, again, like I said, if he stays, I think the way for him to get back on top is for him to win Money in the Bank next year. As I will continue, of course, to say so. But great promo. Great storytelling there as well. Cody Rhodes was backstage, and he runs to the Creeds and thanks them for helping him against Shinsuke. He wished them luck against Judgment Day. Kofi Claus appears to hand presents out to the crowd again, and Imperium attack him, and then Jey Uso makes a save and challenges Ludwig Kaiser to a match. And guess what happened? Ludwig Kaiser lost because Imperium's chumps. They're chumps. Yeah. This is, of course, when J.U. Dunn is told after this that he's not out of Judgment Day for now. And then the Creed brothers took on Judgment Day. Good spots. Just, again, a match showing that, they had the potential, but they're not ready yet. But this is a chance for them to showcase. And for them to be great. We'll show that they can hang with the big crowd, but they still have ways to go. Which they did. Judgment Day, though, do win when Damian Priest hit the South of Heaven on Julius Creed. And they're retaining tag titles. That show ends. Like I said, not much happening. It wasn't all bad. Again, I don't care about Judgment Day at all. I don't care about what's going on with Imperium. I mean, Gunther stuff is fine, but the rest of Imperium, I couldn't care less. But some interesting things. That's why I gave the show a B-. Again, I really liked the match with Gunther and Miz. I really liked the promo with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And again, a few other things have my interest too. So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. Again, it's probably the last episode of Raw until 2024 because I'm still predicting next week going to be a clip show on Christmas Day. So next time will be Raw's Day 1. Which, of course, I will, be reviewing that as well. Again, no SmackDown review for tomorrow night's show. No Raw review for this coming week's Monday's episode of Raw. Again, just want to, get some stuff caught up on YouTube. Maybe dive back into some things. And then, like I said, just take a little bit of a breather from the weekly reviews and get back to it next Friday. So, guys, I'll give Raw as well a B-. A B- for Raw. Again, we'll see you guys next year for the Monday Night Raw reviews. But we're not done with content yet for the channel. So guys, be sure as always, leave guys thoughts down in the comment section below. What grade would you give this week's episode of Monday Night Raw? Again, comment section down below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to come to my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your night. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion. That is a fact of life. Yeah!